Welcome to the Plant Paradigm podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with amazing people from all around the world and look for ways to create a clean, green, and healthy future for us, the planet, and other beings. If you're new to the show, welcome once again. I'm your host, Tom Simak, a fellow plant eater who strives to optimize every living ecosystem, passionate specifically about the health and well-being of Mother Earth, our mind and body and soul, and the amazing creatures that dwell on this planet. In today's episode, we'll be chatting to none other than Dara Hayes. Most of you might know her as DJ Tigerlily. Dara is an absolute bundle of energy and such a positive and genuine soul. She's one of Australia's biggest DJs and has a huge passion for health and wellness and is an advocate for animal well-being. She originally went vegan when she was tackling her own health issues and wanted a way to get her vitality back without relying heavily on any form of medication or drugs. Safe to say, eating a plant-based diet has made a tremendous impact on her life. Dara makes a positive impact on her social media with her account with just under 600,000 followers and 20,000 on her second account, where she posts more about her passions for health and the animals. On top of her hugely successful music career, where she's had millions of streams and is signed to Universal Music Australia, she's done phenomenal humanitarian work, including her recent assistance in raising $500,000 for the Australian bushfires. So suffice to say, Dara has an amazing resume. In today's episode, we're touching a whole range of different topics, including social media as a positive tool, the discrimination in the music industry, the impact COVID had on her, working with ethical brands, Dara's favorite jams, traveling and touring as a vegan, having conviction and standing up for herself, favorite foods to make and eat, healthy routines, and dealing with pressure. With all that being said, it was an amazing conversation. I had a great time and I hope you enjoy the episode, and I will see you on the other side. Miss Dara Hayes, welcome to the podcast. How are you going?
Hi, I'm really good. How are you going today?
So good. I'm still, as I'm looking into the screen for those on YouTube, I'm still getting used to the half beard. You and I both know Jimmy, and his is so amazing, but I don't know how he's used to it. 2 years into his process, and I'm like, I can't, every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, there it is.
You know what though, to your credit, I came on here and I looked at you and I didn't even notice it. It looks so natural, honestly. It looks great. And then I was looking at you and I knew you were half cut, but I wasn't thinking about it. So it didn't register straight away, which I think is a great thing, because it's not like you're looking at your face thinking, wow, he looks funny.
Yeah, right. Well, I think it's also to props of being like a ginger, it looks kind of like a shadow almost, like the sun coming from one side and it's just beaming down.
Benefits.
But yeah, to get straight into it, I wanted to quickly give everyone, well, we all know DJ Tigerlily, but give us a quick 1 minute on why you're vegan.
Yeah, awesome. So I went vegan 4.5 years ago now. I initially went vegan for my health. I was suffering a whole heap of health issues, pretty much just stomach issues, which were then reverberating out into my whole body. And that was from stress, from way too much travel, from lack of sleep. Anyway, I went toward veganism in hope that it would help me kind of heal my body and my mind and all the kind of physical and mental problems that were coming together from being quite unwell. It did, obviously. A couple months in, I felt fucking fantastic and I was like, what is this? And so it's actually funny, only a couple of months in, maybe 6 months in, when I was starting to feel so good, was it that I actually then started to research what I was doing.
Oh, right. Okay, so you didn't have a doco that was like, yes, I've got to do this.
No, absolutely not. I then watched all the documentaries after being vegan for 6 months and I was like, oh my God, there's actually way more reason as to why I'm doing this and I didn't even know it. And so now I would say I'm predominantly vegan from an animal rights perspective. But obviously, then you've got the added bonus of having the great environmental impact. And obviously, your health is just amazing. And my health has been amazing ever since I went vegan, which is so exciting and just so awesome. And I feel better and better every week, which is great. So for me, there are no negatives now. It's only positives, which is incredible. And I feel pretty lucky to be able to have found out about this lifestyle and way of life and movement at the age that I did, because I see so many people who only fall into it when they're, 50 or 60, and they're like,
Yeah.
shit, I wish I would have done this when I was 20.
Oh, for sure. And I like what you mentioned before, that you kind of did it and like your health was going on the rise, and then like, oh wait, animals benefit from this and so does the planet and all these things. And kind of reminded me, I listen to Simon Hill, Plant Proof, and I know you're on his show as well. He had this really good quote. I quote him all the time. It's amazing. What if we had a diet that was phenomenal for us, but detrimental to the planet? It's like, crap. Fortunately, when you got like plant-based vegan diet, it's good for this, it's good for this, it's good for this. You don't have to make that choice of if this or that or whatever. So that's really, really awesome. In terms of
Yeah.
when you were coming up with your career as Tigerlily and, becoming a really renowned artist, did you come out so how long have you been vegan now?
4.5 years.
4.5 years. So was that when you were coming up, or you were already like
Nah,
headlining?
I was already I've been DJing for 10 years now,
Right.
which is crazy. So it's a lot longer than a lot of people think, because there was a good 5 years where I was just working super hard, doing the really late night shifts that no one was partying at. I was doing all the shitty festival slots, was just, when you start doing anything, you obviously start at the bottom and you have to slowly work your way to the top,
Yep.
through time and practice and energy and all of that, right? So when I went vegan, it was kind of at the point in my career where I was doing a lot more than I even do now. I was traveling overseas for like 9 months a year. So I had a base in LA and was pretty much just over there. And I'd come back, and spend a couple of months with my family and then go back overseas again. And funnily enough, like that for me, the craziest, busiest time of my career was probably the height of being unhappy and unwell, because my body was suffering so much as a result of what I was putting through it to kind of try and become successful. Unfortunately, when you are at that level of DJing, you look at all the high flying DJs and they're in private jets and they've got like a 10 staff team. It was just me and my tour manager, Alex, and we were in economy everywhere. We were like not sleeping because we were
Oh
having to do the
no.
craziest routes. Like it wasn't glamorous at all. It was really tough. So the tough time kind of was the catalyst for me turning to veganism to try and find some sort of balance and some sort of healthful way in my life, I suppose.
Well, I guess that gives you an opportunity to be grateful for those times, because, maybe if that hadn't really been a catalyst for going vegan, I was going to ask, but now I've kind of like made it moot, but going back to that era of your life where you were, I guess, not treating your body with maybe as much respect as you could be, would you change any things or any way you approached it?
Like, no, because I'm here where I am now and I'm really, really happy. Hey, we've got matching green drink bottles.
Green drink bottles.
Cheers.
Yes.
Obviously I'm really happy with where I'm at now, which is epic. And if I would have changed something back then, it may not have led me to the point at which I am now. I think you need to kind of experience everything in life, highs, lows, mistakes. Like mistakes are so important. I made a lot of really stupid mistakes, whether it was treating my body poorly, not taking things in my career seriously enough, all these different types of things which were mistakes. And I look back on them and think, wow, I had a massive learning from that because
Mm.
something negative happened as a result. So as much as I would like to think, oh yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done A, B, and C, like who knows, I probably wouldn't have the same amount of knowledge or wisdom or understanding about DJing and my health and everything as a result. So yeah, pretty grateful for all of it.
In terms of like your career, and were you ever scared that coming out coming out of the closet as a vegan or making that transition would have any negative repercussions, or were you just like, nah, this is what I'm going to do, accept it or leave it, it's me?
So like I'm pretty like confident and like I'm an Aries, so I'm just like, rah, this is what I think. Take it or leave it. It's my opinion. Here it is in your face. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty like just tell you what I think, even if no one cares. So like maybe like 3 or 4 months into being vegan, I was like, I've got to tell the whole world about this because this is the most crazy thing and the best thing I've ever done. I'm just gonna stand from my Instagram and scream it into every corner of the Instagram universe that I can because this is
Yeah.
epic. Like I was just obsessed and saw obviously so much benefit from it instantly. And I was just enamored with the changes that were happening in my body from what I was eating. And I was just stoked. Didn't think that I would have any negative repercussions, but I had a lot of negative repercussions for
Yeah.
sure.
I was waiting for that, but
So it's kind of crazy. Since I went vegan, I have lost like 100,000 followers on Instagram.
wow.
And I don't know if it's just because of going vegan. I but I entered a long-term relationship at the time that I went vegan. So I got a boyfriend. Obviously was posting about boyfriends and vegan things as opposed to before where I was like partying, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So I was going through a big life transformation at that point in time. So I think it's a combination of why a lot of different people have unfollowed me. But also the veganism thing can be really triggering for a lot of people online.
Sure.
And that's totally fine. Like I used to be one of those people that would tease my vegetarian friends, like, why are you vegetarian? That's weird. Ha ha ha. That's stupid. So like, I get it. It's triggering, but there's definitely hope for everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. I have triggers for when I used to make fun of my vegetarian or vegan friends, and they used to tag me in things, and I like chicks getting grounded up. I just laugh. I was totally that evil guy, and I think we have a similar story. I think it was your cousin that made you plant based. Yeah, same
Yeah.
here. And I used to laugh in their
Yeah.
faces, but you just gotta keep posting, just keep doing it. Have you had to like in your career turn down a lot of like brands and things because you don't think they're ethically aligned to your values? How do you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. It's like shit, obviously. Like a lot of the companies that have the crappiest ethical values have the most cash. Prime
Oh, look at
example.
that. Look at that quote. It's so
That's not
true.
even
It's
a
so
quote.
painful.
It's just fact. Like
Mm,
prime example is horse racing, right? So
yeah.
the races have so much cash and they still to this day offer for me to come and DJ. And I'm like, no, like, and I'm telling you, it is so much money that you turn down. And I just like tell my boyfriend, and he like half cries and half laughs about it because there's nothing else that you can do.
Mm,
A heap of like makeup companies that test on animals often want to work, and they've got a lot of money as well. And you know what? It's just the nature of standing by what you believe in. And I always have a belief that when you say no to something like that, then other things are going to come and take their place. And there always is, and there always has been more work with awesome ethical companies. And all the companies that I work with now are like vegan and cruelty free. Hopefully, like for the most part, a lot of them are like made in Australia and things like
yeah.
that, or Australian based companies, which is great. And it's also, I think, just kind of people expect you to be really perfect all the time. And I think that's quite difficult. For example, I used to work with Adidas. I was an ambassador for them for about
Yeah.
4 years.
I bet
And
you got a bunch of comments.
yeah, definitely. Like obviously lots of plastic, huge company, a lot to do with not treating their workers right. All these things that the Adidas's and Nikes and stuff of the world cop, like the slack that they cop. But in saying that, they had an incredible program called Parlay, which is where they were making ranges of clothing. And now, actually, I think in about 90% of all their clothing, recycled ocean trash made into thread and then made into clothing, which is epic.
That's sick.
And that thread is now wound through like so much of their stuff, like pretty much every range that they have the ocean trash Parlay thread. So I think it's about also like working with companies that are making moves forward and applauding them for doing good things and bringing those things to light, as opposed to necessarily being like, well, they suck because of A, B, and C, and not actually looking at positive things that they're doing as well.
You totally strung a thought that I had before when I was going to say, you have all these eyes on you. And do you ever struggle with the pressure of Dara Hayes, DJ Tigerlily has to be X, Y, Z? And if it's not this perfect, idealistic image of her, I totally despise that. How do you, in terms of, because your opinions could be out there with fitness and health, and people have this perception of what you should be doing. How do you deal with that?
I call vegans out all the time for bullying online, because I get like bullied quite a bit by like real like hardline vegans. Um, Prime example is I went camping with my friends the other day, and I made this like beautiful vegan cheese platter with dips and veggies and
Yeah.
things. Anyway, then none of them were vegan. They brought one non-vegan cheese and a couple of like meat things that they put on the side of the platter. Anyway, I took a photo of the platter and I was like, this vegan blue cheese is to die for, and tagged the vegan blue cheese brand so everyone could go
Hmm.
find it and
Hmm.
try it. It's Delecto, by the way. Like, I just buy their shit all the time. It's so delicious. Anyway, I got all these people in my DM saying, I can't believe you'd show, a piece of meat or like, dead flesh on your Instagram stories. You're not a real vegan. Like, you need to stop. Pretty much was
Yeah.
the vibe of what they were saying. And my kind of thinking around that is that I'm trying to show people that you can be the only vegan in your whole friend circle and still experience delicious platter nights with them. You can sit by the fire and have your vegan wine and your vegan cheese, and they can have the things that they like too. And it's okay if they're not at the same point on the journey that you are, because no one's ever going to be exactly the same and we're not all going to agree. So with that logic, you would have no friends that weren't vegan, no family that weren't vegan. You wouldn't be allowed to have pets. You wouldn't be allowed to have anything like that. It's like so limiting. And I think that belief in a non-vegan world is actually really toxic and really harmful. So I
Mm.
often speak about this a lot, saying that I think it's really important that we approach veganism with love and acceptance, and show that it is okay to live in like a non-vegan world, and to, I suppose, make compromises for people that you love and care about. Like, cool, letting my non-vegan friends put their cheese on the side of my platter. Like, that's okay by me. And I think by having a more relaxed and realistic approach to it, it's going to make veganism um, more, I suppose, approachable and realistic for people who are considering going vegan but are kind of nervous.
Correct, because they'll have this like all or nothing. Like I've either got to be an activist, standing at the Flemington racecourse or whatever it is, having the signs, not touching any plastics, not using a car. Like I've got to be a bloody vegetable.
Yeah,
And I think,
exactly.
yeah, developing that relationship with yourself and accepting that I can't, because whether it's veganism or anything in life, there's no way you could be perfect. You
Mm.
can't be a perfect salesman. You can't be a perfect father. You can't be a perfect anything. And I think that's really important with what you touched on. You can't, because it's just painful at night to see, like, I
Oh
did this
yeah,
so bad. Like
yeah.
you're going to really have such a negative outlook towards yourself.
I agree. One thing I'd like to add, which I think kind of relates back to what this podcast is about, is like something that people always bring up for me is my work and traveling, right? As a traveling artist DJ, I used to, not anymore because of coronavirus, but used to fly a
Yeah.
lot. And flying is really heavy on the environment. It is not good. And people would say, you preach veganism and love and good vibes, but then you're on planes 24/7.
Mm.
And to that, I always say, cool, well, I buy all the carbon offsets that I can.
People are
I
quick to judge, aren't
invest
they? Oh,
I know. Invest everything in green companies, green super, blah, blah, blah. And then also buy back land every year with half cut to make sure that
mm,
my business is carbon positive, not even carbon neutral, but carbon positive. So it's like
mm.
you do absolutely everything you can. And I think people still are going to be critical. And that's just the nature of humans. And that's just the nature of the internet. People are kind of just waiting to be offended or to try and kind of catch someone out.
Yeah, it's such a shame that we can't work together and just be nice. Like it feels weird to ask people like, hey, just so you know, be nice. You know,
I know, and
doing our best.
I think this is the thing about veganism in general is that I say this all the time on like podcasts or interviews or things is that vegans are often our own worst enemy. Like if we were to all have a much more loving and compassionate approach toward one another, the compassion that we show to animals, show it to humans, we would have so much more of an impact because it's that super structured, this is the only way to do things. My way or the highway is what turns people off, you know? People want to be seen as having the ability to choose. They want flexibility. The thing I say if people want to go vegan, I say take 12 months to do it. Like cut one thing out a month and take it slowly, make healthy routines that are going to be sustainable and last. But then vegans say, well, that's not vegan either. You should go vegan overnight. And I'm like, well, that's not sustainable either. So I just think, yeah, approaching things with an energy of like softness and flexibility
Totally.
is
100%
awesome.
with you. And it's so like, as you're going, it's like you're attracted to this ideal of veganism. Like people are attracted to this ideal of DJ Tigerlily, attracted to ideal of Tom Simak. And it's like, I was talking to Carlo, our mutual friend, Cirillo, on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, it's for me, I've stopped associating with vegan. And that's not because I don't like the status symbol. I just felt that people, because of the current state, it's like people will respond better if I post my food and just hashtag plant-based baby or hashtag all plants or I don't
Mm.
know, veggie family or something like that. So I think that's really important to realize that you don't have to stick to an ideal. It's like,
Mm.
just like I'm different to you and different to Carlo and different to all these people, that means I'm going to have a different approach. And so are you. And I think that's very important to realize and to be confident with.
I totally agree. And I think about it like there's so many, other sorts of ways of life or beliefs or lifestyles or diets or whatever it might be. And there's never one set of rules that everyone follows exactly. And the fact that we each have our own way to express our interpretation of that is epic. I think it's about looking at people's intentions. And if the intention is there, even if you're vegan 80% of the time or even 70% of the time, that's fucking awesome. Like that
Mm,
is so epic. If everyone on the planet was vegan 70% of the time,
so much
we
better.
would have like barely any environmental issues. Like there would be so many less problems in general. So I think it's about, looking at like what people are doing the majority of the time and really celebrating that.
Oh, for sure. And switching gears to like the music industry, and because you mentioned you traveled a bit and the carbon offset and all these things, being
Mm.
in the industry, you'd know a lot more than any one of us looking from the outside in. What's something that the music industry is doing, whether that's through venues or promotional marketing, that is maybe not ethical or sustainable? Like if you had the power at the top being like, this is how
Mm.
events should be run in a way
Mm.
that's got a more sustainable approach, would you implement anything differently?
Like there are so many different things that they could be doing differently. I think the creation of the internet has really helped that because people aren't like flyering as much. There's not many posters in regards to promoting things. It's mostly
Mm,
online now, which is incredible. What I would say is I notice at like big events and festivals, there's often so much waste and so much trash afterward, and that's pretty shitty. I play the rugby sevens like each year in Sydney, and they've got this really awesome thing where they've got these plastic cups that are reusable, and you have to pay for them to you have to pay for, let's say, a beer plus the plastic cup, right? And then you bring your cup back and they reuse it, which is great.
sick.
Then at
Yep.
the end of the night, you take your cup to a big basket, and there's a heap of charities labeled on the baskets, and you can dump your cup in whichever charity, and then the charity
Sick.
gets the $2 from the cup, right?
So like
So really,
grilled. That's awesome.
yeah, exactly like that. So there are really great, really simple policies that we could be doing like that, which could make a massive impact as opposed to, you know, burning through, I don't know, a couple 100,000 plastic cups a night. You could be saving them and creating revenue for charities, which is so exciting. So really simple things like that are going to be really easy for people to integrate into their systems. As well as like using sustainable sources of electricity and stuff. It would be epic to see nightclubs using, you know, solar and things like that. But I feel like right now, especially given the climate of what's going on, that's going to be the last of their worries. Realistically, like I think we're unfortunately going to see probably like 80% of promoters, venue owners go broke because like there's just really not much happening at the moment in our industry, unfortunately.
So COVID's obviously affected everyone in a different way. And those are some really amazing things that you touched on. I want to get back to them later on. But COVID's affected everyone in different ways. As an artist, how have you shifted in a way that you're still being productive and doing the best you can do in the current climate?
It's been really challenging actually. Like I have days where I feel like stressed and anxious and I'm like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Of course I'm gonna feel stressed and anxious. It's like my life's totally changed this year. So I've been writing some music that I really like, which is awesome. And I've been working with my label really hard to get some of that out, which is exciting. So I've had a couple of songs come out this year, and we actually shot a video clip not long ago for a big record, which will hopefully be coming out within the next month, which is cool to have some sort of creative productivity.
Yeah.
In regards to gigs, I've been able to do nothing. I've been able to do some live streams, which has been fun, but it's kind of like a means to an end because, you know, DJing is about connecting with people and performing and connecting with a crowd, telling a story. And it's really difficult to do that when there's no one in front of you, just like a screen. I've also, like, I'm really lucky and grateful to have my social media platforms. So I do like some work with some amazing companies on all my social media platforms. Shout out to JBL. I work with them as like my main Australian ambassador or ambassadorship, and they've been amazing at supporting me through all of this. And we've been working together on developing some new products and some exciting campaigns for them, which has been great. And actually, on my vegan account, Our Sole Purpose, we've had the people who are interested in doing collaborations on that account really spike as well. And the best thing about that is for the collaborations that I do on Our Sole Purpose, we donate 100% of the profits to animal sanctuaries and charities and stuff like that. So
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been really fun working with some brands, like developing campaigns and ideas around, you know, sharing their awesome vegan products and then donating all the money. So super cool. And it's been nice to to kind of pivot a little.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the back end of that question was actually kind of flipping the story and seeing what you're going to be grateful for, but you've got that mindset of always, oh yeah, I'm struggling with this, but here's where it's kind of kicking off for me and I've pivoted, and that's awesome to see because you are a bit of a bubble of energy, and that's awesome that you've got this positive I guess, energy. And you're also, I mean, not to, again, push you in the ideal, but you're vegan. And that for me, it's like she's got this amazing platform and she's doing a really good job of putting forward a good notion of what a vegan or a plant-based person or a kind person can be. Now,
Thanks.
on the back of that compliment, how do you think...
So many compliments.
Thank you. How many people... Sorry, not how many people, Jesus. How do you think we can use social media as a positive platform?
Yeah, so I love social media. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's great. It is obviously a really negative space in some ways, but it can also be so, so positive. There are so many ways in which we can use it as a positive, from people sharing stories about why they're vegan, sharing brands that they love, so supporting small businesses that are vegan and cruelty-free, incredible. Even, I suppose, having a space that's safe for people to use their voice and talk about something that's really important to them. The reason why I created my second account, Our Sole Purpose, was because I wasn't being heard on my first account, DJ Tigerlily, when it came to veganism. And I really wanted a safe space to talk about things I was really passionate about and where people wouldn't, hate me for it. So I think Instagram and just social media in general is great for creating safe spaces for people to talk about things that they're passionate about and for creating communities where they can connect with people. Like, if someone lives in a rural town, there may not be anyone there that's vegan, but I'm sure they'll be able to find someone online that they're able to connect with, which is epic. Also, like the fundraising, which I just mentioned, there's so much possibility for that. I think most importantly, it's about encouraging people to follow and engage with people that they really find a connection with and they feel like are doing positive, awesome things. Because more often than not, people are following just crap on their feed, and it's stuff that doesn't inspire them. Like teeth whitening ads to make your butt bigger, whatever it might be. I don't know. So yeah, I think it's about encouraging people to create their feeds so that they're inspired by what they're seeing every day.
That's really awesome. And there's plenty of ways that you can do that. I don't know anyone who's got the fundraising thing besides you, but that's a great idea for like a social commerce and that kind of field. But bouncing into the negative side of things, I read something you wrote for the Daily Telegraph about discriminations in the industry and saying you actually have to negotiate equal pay to your male peers. Is that legit?
Yeah, 100%. There's so many different times when, oh my God, like sometimes not even equal pay, like equal positionings on flyers and things like that. Like they'll want to put the guy up here and then me down there. Like it's actually really, really embarrassing and ridiculous come to like talk about it out loud, I suppose. And I think it is typical of not just the music industry, of so many different industries that are male dominated, for sure. I'm very lucky because as you can probably tell, I just say what I think, and
which is good.
Don't really worry too much about like what other people say. And I've got really, really supportive agents, which is amazing. Like they've made my life awesome in that they really have my back. But I know a lot of female artists, young female artists in particular, who are taken advantage of in so many different situations because they are unaware of what happens. People try and exploit them to make a heap of money really quickly, and it just can be really nasty and awful. But this is not to rag on the music industry whatsoever. Like it's not just the music industry. It's like every industry, especially industries that are male dominated.
I want to quickly touch on what you said at the beginning, and I'm going to say it's absolutely not embarrassing. The step I think we should all take is actually saying, no, this is happening, and having figures out there like this happened to me, so this is how we can stop that from happening in the future. So I don't think it is right or just for you to think it's embarrassing. So I very much implore you to change that mentality, because that's not fair for anyone, and I'll be the first to say it.
I suppose it's just like not necessarily embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for the industry,
right?
And for the people that I was even having to have these negotiations with, that like this was a thing. Like it just seemed so ridiculous in my mind. Anyway, what can you do? But thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think talking about it is really important as well, and making, women aware that like they, don't have to have the man tell them what to do.
Is that a furry friend? Oh my gosh, that's a cat. Oh, what's her name? What? Rupert. Rupert.
Hi, everyone. Oh, don't bite me. And Lenny, my dog is. Oh, you can see him coming in the hallway.
He's coming. Oh my God.
Hi. Okay, you can hop down.
So cute. Gosh, where were we? Oh, when you're doing these negotiations, how do you have the conviction and the confidence to kind of stand up for yourself and be like, no, this is not right? How do you go in with that kind of resolve?
So I used to just go in like with my agent kind of backing me. I've managed myself for like years now, which has been like the best decision ever for any artist out there. You can manage yourself. I truly believe in you. As long as you've got a good team around you, you can do it. But these days, I have a really great team that work for me. And if there is something that we're unhappy about or I'm unhappy about, we'll have a discussion and someone else will generally go in for me. So I'm not seen as the bad guy per se. It's quite important to like when you've got a public image to kind of be polite and let your team work for you in the appropriate situation, I suppose. So we're a little bit more careful about it these days, which is, the nature of just becoming, I suppose, better at what you do and more professional at what you do.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, like, how did you go into that, not wanting to tarnish your image, but I guess using other people in the team and people who support you is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and you mentioned before that when you first started your career and you were kind of projected and you're being quite harsh on your body in plenty of different ways, like asleep and partying and all these different things. Now, I'm assuming that's a little bit different. What's something, obviously pre-COVID, when you're traveling around to different places, what have you
Mm.
done and adapted into your routine that's helped you stay healthy?
Oh my God, so many things. So many things.
Let's get into it.
Um, so sleep for me is the most important thing. So like taking the opportunity, this is when I'm touring,
Mm.
to sleep as much as I can, whether it's an hour's nap before my show, or a nap in the car, something like that. And if I can't nap, not worrying, having a meditate, doing some breath work, trying to find a point of like max relaxation, can be almost or just as good, if not better sometimes. So really incorporating that into my touring life for sure. Yeah, not drinking as much when I'm on the road and touring. Alcohol obviously really messes up your sleep and makes you feel like shit. So yeah, really watching that. In regards to my food, trying to have plant-based whole food options as much as possible. I understand that it's not always possible. So sometimes I'll have a packet of chips for dinner. Woo! Which is like
So
obviously not
exciting.
very
Yeah.
healthy. But yeah, trying to choose those healthy options when they are available, and pre-planning. Like I have some great greens powders and great proteins that I'll take on the road with me, so I can just add water and make super quick shakes, which is a great way to get in some like extra micronutrients and macronutrients, of course, when you're on the road as well. Um, and then I use a lot of different essential oils to like manage my stress and emotions. I make up different little blends for myself, which has been like absolutely game changing for me emotionally and mentally. Because I think that's kind of part of the hardest thing. Like you can cope with a couple of nights not sleeping and you can
Yeah.
get by eating Oreos and chips and it's all good. But like emotionally for me, especially being I'm a very emotional person, that is like the hardest thing for me to kind of manage and I rein in, I suppose. So using my oils has been epic to help me stay calm and grounded, especially, in periods of high stress or high exhaustion or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's perfect. And how do you tackle fitness?
Yeah, great. So this is how I tackle it when I'm traveling. No pressure. If I feel like doing something, I'll do it. If I don't feel like doing something, I won't do it. And I know that kind of sounds obvious, but like I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to like wake up after a show and go to the gym. But if you're exhausted, it's way more beneficial just to sleep. So yeah, when I'm touring, it's no pressure. I always take my gym gear, and if I feel like doing something, I'll do it. If I just want to go for a walk, then that's it, sweet as, whatever. And then when I come home, I'm not strict, but I really want to work out because I, have the
Yeah.
ability to, and I'm not tired. So I really enjoy working out when I'm at home because I'm well rested. So yeah, it's a nice balance. And I think by taking that pressure off myself, I became a lot happier with it goes back to the emotional state, right? Like not stressing about doing something. So yeah, that's been really helpful.
Um, uh, Firstly, to add on that thing where if you're tired, don't work out. That's absolutely true. If anyone is interested in learning about sleep, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker is an amazing book. I don't know if
So good.
have you read it?
He's
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, and he breaks it down in really digestible fashion. Even Bill Gates recommends the book, and he describes how your muscles don't work properly when you have under 7 hours of sleep. So sleep freaking key. I read that book and it was a paradigm shifter.
Yeah, he's just amazing, that guy, and like the stuff that he's written on sleep is just like, yeah, insane. And it makes it that's why I said the number one thing for me is sleep, right? If I don't sleep,
Mm.
nothing else functions properly. And so you really just have to prioritize that.
Yeah, and everyone knows that you get cranky after like a 6 hour sleep, and you bloody know it. And
I'm a
it's
bitch.
not ideal. Yeah, we all are. We all are. And then shifting gear to food for a second, what's
Yeah.
on the Dara menu? What is like the meal where you're like, I've got an unlimited budget, I've got unlimited time, I've got space. What are you eating that will just fill your soul to the absolute brim?
Oh my God, it's so basic. Okay. So the thing that I eat all the time, pretty much almost maybe every second day, is I make up little taco-y things, right? So the
Taco.
thing, yeah, so like the soft wrap, like
Mm-hmm.
little taco-y shell
Yep.
thing. I don't know what they're called. Anyway,
The
whatever you can
tortilla.
put
Is
in,
that what you're trying to
yeah,
say?
yes. Whatever you can put in them, as long as it has guac and either tofu or mushroom meat or black beans and a fuckload of veggies, that is me in my heaven. I literally have it every second day. So usually what I do is I do like pan fry up some tofu and maybe some onion and garlic, and then I do a guac, and my guac has avocado, tomato, cucumber, onion, lemon juice, salt and pepper. So it's super delicious and zesty and lemony. And then I like grate up carrot, I'll grate up cucumber, I'll do a heap of fresh spinach and cos lettuce, and all the different textures plus like the creaminess of the avo for me is just amazing. And it's still really, really, really healthy because it's
So
just veggies
healthy.
and tofu on a wrap.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
I know that's a bit of a cop out, but I'm just obsessed with it.
No.
Like Scott, my boyfriend knows I go through so many like of those tortillas just because it's my go-to meal. I had it for lunch yesterday. I'll probably have it for lunch tomorrow.
Mm.
So that is kind of my go-to meal. And then my other go-to thing is, which I know once again isn't like crazy expensive or time consuming, it's a green smoothie. I have this thing, it's like throw everything in your fridge smoothie. So I do like frozen banana, majul dates, carrot, cucumber, tomato, zucchini, lettuce, spinach, kale, mushroom, nuts, water, couple of adaptogenic mushrooms if I want to throw them in. Plus, I've got it's a vegan smoothie booster called Be Humane, and it has like
Oh
iodine
yeah,
and
I've used Be
B3.
Humane. Yeah,
Yeah,
they sent me some stuff, and it's really cool. It's like the
I
seedy, grainy stuff. Yeah, really, really yummy.
love it. It's just so good knowing that you're putting all that extra stuff in your smoothies that you might otherwise
Mm.
be missing out on. And so that's my green smoothie for, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a further shout out to Be Humane because they donate all their profits to animal sanctuaries, I believe, or like
I think
50,
50%.
50%. Yeah, that's insane.
Yes.
Any of those brands are just so humanitarian. I've struggled to believe it. It's like, come on, really? Like
I
you do
know.
all this hard work for like other people? Like what?
I know. I know.
Um,
They're pretty incredible. I actually had a phone call with Andrew who created the
yeah,
company the
Andrew's
other
nice
day.
as.
And yeah, he's amazing and he's a doctor and obviously just wants to create epic product and get people really healthy and obviously donating a heap of money to animal sanctuaries, which is just like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, so good. And I totally feel the tacos. I've been going on Taco Tuesday for the last 2 months, like every
Yeah.
Tuesday, literally. And have you tried the lettuce with it? Like instead of a taco thing, lettuce?
Uh I have, but I'm
Not
into
vibing it.
carbs and
Into
I like the floury, like I just pop them on like the stove top and so they're a little bit crispy and it kind of
Yep.
fills me up a bit more. But yeah,
Yeah.
lettuce if you're trying to watch your calorie intake.
No, no. Just trying to add in the 30 to 40 plants a week, that rule.
Yeah.
Trying to
Yeah.
get that added up. I do love to ask this question to everyone who comes on the show, and it's a bit loaded, but I know you're super into health and conscious and all these things. What is your definition of being healthy?
Yeah, that's really loaded.
I can't say I didn't warn you.
Yeah, that's true. I think being healthy is just being able to create some sort of realistic balance in your life that is sustainable. I see people doing, and I used to do this, doing like fad diets or fad cleanses or exercise regimes that may not be sustainable. And ultimately, that's not going to be healthy. It obviously also encompasses mental health, which can be like super tough, especially this year for people. It's been a really wild year. So for me, looking at health, it encompasses physical, emotional, spiritual health, and trying to find something in that realm that works for you in a way that is sustainable and able to, I suppose, continue during a global pandemic or whatever it might look like. And I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before in regard to the vegan thing, right? Everyone does it differently, and that's totally okay. What is going to be healthy for someone is definitely not going to be healthy for another person. So it's about really finding what works for you.
Yeah. What are some things that you add to your day that anyone can add to kind of fulfill your need, physically, emotionally, spiritually? Like, how do you tackle these different things that you've just added in and it's just been like a game changer for you?
I've pretty much like touched on most of them already, but like sleep is really important. Scott and I sleep quite a lot, like 8 plus 9 hours
Are
a
you
night.
tracking him with like a Fitbit or something?
We used to, when we were reading the sleep books and things like
Yeah.
that, we both had the Whoop bands,
Oh, yeah.
and we
Nice.
with our recovery score, but we've kind of let go of that obsession, which, we both know we're sleeping well now, so that's all we
Yeah.
need to know. So sleep is really important. The getting all the micronutrients in, I think, is really, really important. Since I started incorporating my smoothies into my day, the green smoothies where I throw everything in, that's been a real game changer for my energy. I used to struggle with, some iron deficiencies and bits and pieces like that, but I haven't had any problems since I've been doing them and using the booster and, doing as many veggies as you can in each week, which has been really, really helpful. Moving physically, I've already touched on this. When I'm at home and I've slept really well and I feel energized and ready to rock, yeah, whether it's going for a walk with the dog or hitting the gym and doing like a hard session. Sorry to say, I know you can't go to the gym at the moment.
Hey, home workouts are a thing. There is no excuses.
Yeah, home workouts are epic, and you can get such a great killer sweat session in with like no weight, just your body, which is cool.
Totally.
And then I've already touched on this as well, but using my oils to create different blends and diffusing them and creating different perfumes and remedies, home little potion remedies for myself to support myself emotionally. Yeah, it's pretty crazy what they can do to kind of
What's your
support.
favorite thing to do with an oil? Like, you just leave them like smelling pretty? Are you using them to like peppermint to like relieve your muscles? Like, what's like your
All of it.
favorite? All of them.
So like right now I've got a blend going. It's what have I got in there at the moment? I think I've got a blend of Copaiba, which is like a really grounding oil, and ylang ylang, which is kind of more
Lang
floral. So
lang.
that's
Love a good lang lang.
yeah, that's kind of going in my diffuser at the moment. The perfume that I used today was once again Copaiba and Vetiver, and they're both really grounding perfumes. Oh, oils, sorry. So when you combine them in a perfume, they smell really earthy and woody, and they're able to, I feel really scented after I put it on, which is great. But then in my morning routine, like I put one called Endoflex on my thyroid to support my thyroid and my hormones. Use them as mouthwash, use one for muscle relaxant after the gym. Like you, I know it's like the typical thing where the crazy oil lady says, like, you've got a problem, put like an oil on it, but there is like an oil for everything.
Yeah, I have like one of those really big books that cost me like $100 that sit on the coffee table with like a whole directory of oils. Not that I use the thing; it's a nice coffee table book, but it's called like the
Is it
modern.
blue one?
I think I got two. I'm not gonna
Oh my
lie,
God. Yeah.
might be
I've
a
got
blue
one that's
one.
like that thick. Yeah.
Yeah, they're stupid thick, and there's so much. Like, I haven't looked into the science, but like I kind of just like to use them for like massages. Peppermints like live by the thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but backtracking a bit to the food part of things, are
Yeah.
you, because you mentioned that you're a bit like iron deficient and you've kind of now focused a lot on micronutrients as well to make sure your body is quite at its peak. Are you like tracking your calories or intakes by any means?
No
No
way.
go. Why is that?
No. Fuck no. I'm like quite against it.
Yeah.
And for a couple of different reasons. So when I was a teen, I had a bit of a bad relationship with like food and eating and my body, which I've came past totally, which is epic. But I think for anyone that's had any sort of disordered eating, whether it's becoming just a little bit too obsessed with something or whether it's full blown, bulimia or anorexia, I think it can be a really negative and really triggering thing to be tracking. I understand that it serves a purpose, especially when it comes to if you're wanting to look a specific way physically or you're trying to track something like iron. But the complicated thing is when it comes to micronutrients, there are so many different things that are going on in your body. If you take, let's just say, 1,000 milligrams of iron or whatever it might be, you might actually not be absorbing all those nutrients. There are so many different things that happen in your gut and all throughout your body that reflect on absorption and the functionality of how your body is actually going to be using what you're putting into it. So it's kind of, for me anyway, way more bigger picture, and it's much more important for me to eat intuitively and obviously to go and get my bloods done every 6 months just to make sure all my levels are okay. And I do supplement as well pretty much every day, which is really easy. And for me, that really works. But in saying that, I understand why people track, in that it is an important means to an end if you're trying to hit a specific goal.
Yeah.
Here's my boyfriend.
Hey, mate.
This is Scott. Scott, this is Tom.
Hey, Scott.
I'm just heading out to the gym.
Okay, bye.
Have a good sesh, mate.
Speaking of the gym.
Yes. I was going to say, I wanted to dive into body positivity in a second. Are you, with supplements, you mentioned adaptogens. Are you all over Four Sigmatic? Have you heard of these guys? You're on it?
No, but I'm kind of all over it, and I've tried all the different adaptogenic things, and I can see how people can become uber obsessed with everything adaptogenic and biohacking and all that kind of stuff. I use a couple of different adaptogenic mushrooms in my smoothies and bowls and things like that, and a couple of other products like the MSM salts and things like that, but I just kind of leave it at that. I haven't dived fully into it, and I would really like to. I just haven't given myself the time. Are you
Four Sigmatic people, if you're listening, hook Dara up with some of your things. No, I'm just trying them a little bit here and there because I hear everyone talking about it and I'm sick of hearing about it without having tried it. So I bought $200 worth, which I'm not happy to admit, but they're actually pretty nice. But I also, on the topic of supplements, I know that, I just read, I don't know if you've read Dr. Will Bushowitz's book yet, Fiber Fueled. He released it. He was on Simon's podcast as well a few months ago. He's this really awesome, renowned gastroenterologist, I think based in New York.
Yeah.
And in his book, he dives heaps into the science of breaking it down. But he always said, when you're taking supplements, it's always different when you eat them, what you eat them. And if it's supplement form, it acts different in your body to when it's an adaptogen in a powder form. So I definitely see yes, take these things and you can get sucked into that hole, but also don't let eating a super green powder take you away from eating greens. And I just wanted to say that, because pro supplement, but also never replace.
No, I totally agree. I actually commented on one of my friend's statuses on Facebook the other day. She's struggling with her iron, and I just said it's not just about taking a pill once a day. What I do for my iron is, I've told you about my green smoothies. They're jam freaking packed with all the leafy greens. They've also got citrus in it, which is going to help
activate the iron. Yeah.
I put in greens powder into the smoothies plus the smoothie booster, and then I have my vitamin supplement, my iron supplement, and my other supplements with the smoothie for maximum absorption. And so I do that ritualistically, and obviously nowhere near alcohol, tea, coffee, all the other things that can kind of block absorption. So it's not just as simple as taking a supplement once a day and being cool, I can now rest. I'm done. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And the GI stuff, the gastroenterologist stuff is so interesting, coming from a history of having gut problems myself. we know so little about the gut, so little, and it has
Mm.
the most profound effect on every different aspect of our body. It's crazy. Even just me going through my gut issues, I learned so much about different things like absorption and all that kind of stuff, which we're never taught and we never really think about.
Totally. And I think, I know with your story, you struggled a little bit with trusting a lot of the gastroenterologists and doctors because you went to one and he's quite overweight and might not have the best lifestyle and all these things. But it's really important to do your own research as well. And that doesn't mean Google and just trust every blog you read, because there's people who's experienced it and maybe they, did this and that fixed it. But there's a lot of other factors that went into play, and that could be not just going vegan, but also adapting a bit of exercise and sleep and meditation and breathing,
Yeah.
and like all these different things come into play. So
Mhm.
100% with you there. I'd love to know, just to really bring it to music, because we didn't talk about music too much, even though like you're a DJ, but like
That's fine.
what's on DJ Tigerlily's place at the moment? What are you dancing in your jammies in with?
Oh my gosh, I've been listening to some random ass stuff at the moment. Well, so Dua Lipa just released a new song with, is it Jay Bolvin or whatever
I
his
haven't
name
heard
is?
it. Yeah. Okay.
It's really, really cool. It's like Latino influenced.
Ooh, loving it already.
And yeah, really, really like that. But then I've been listening to a heap of like old throwback stuff. So a heap of old throwback dance music. Gregory Klosman, Bart Beamore, AC Slater, all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Like just
damn. You're going full
old
old school.
throwbacks. And
Yep.
then also I've got this really epic playlist which I posted on my stories yesterday, which is like from my early days of clubbing. And it's all like old school, like rock, punky stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like, Yellow Card and Green Day and
Blink
what else?
and Sum
Yeah,
41 and
all that stuff.
Hell
And
yeah.
so I posted that on my stories and everyone was like, oh my God, I love this old music. I didn't know you were into that. And I'm like, this is my gym workout playlist. Like
Yeah.
I just listen to like old, like rock dudes, like jamming out. So that's what I'm listening to at the moment. Bit of pop, bit of dance, bit of punk rock.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cause you need that variety, because everyone sees like a DJ and they only listen to EDM and all these different things, but absolutely not. You got to mix it up, except
Yeah.
country
I
music.
think,
I'm totally not for country music. It's the one
okay.
playlist I can't get into.
So I used to say there was two genres I hated, heavy metal and country music. And I quite like both now. I still don't do like
What
death metal.
changed? How did you get into country? I want to know.
I went to so Western Australia. There's this incredible place up north called the Kimberley.
Yes.
And it is like in the desert / the most incredible place I've ever been. And it's very country up there. So you go to like a pub or a saloon or something and there's a guy with a guitar having a sing. And so we were road tripping up there and we were listening to country music as a result of the environment that we were in. And now I actually hate to say I really, really like it.
Is it Keith Urban or it's actually country?
No, like actually country. I don't know the names of any of the artists.
No, yeah.
Like they're singing about it's my you, oh yeah, or it's like rock me mama like a wagon wheel,
Yeah.
or it's like talking about this like chick in the club that he's like having a beer with, and he's like, they all tell stories. I know none of them. And I'm so okay with that. It's awesome. Actually,
that's really awesome.
Yeah, so there's that big famous guy, Lee Kernahan. Have you heard of him? Kerning?
No.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, we butchered your last name.
Yeah, sorry, Lee. But I do like his stuff. Pete Murray's stuff is a great way to get into it because it's like kind of country acoustic.
Okay. That's pretty
cool. You
have
to like Pete Murray.
Never listened to his stuff. Sorry.
Oh my God. Okay. That's your job after this podcast.
All right. I'll get it on. I'll get it on Spotify now and do it while I do my other things for the rest of the day. And then coming on the tail end of the episode, sorry, is there anything you might want to leave us with in terms of wisdom? Any Dara bestowing knowledge on us?
I don't necessarily think there's any knowledge, But if there was something that people were going to take away from my episode, it would kind of tie back to what we were talking about in the beginning, in that it's really important to go forward in your life, especially when it comes to veganism and activism and all that kind of stuff. Go forward with like love and patience and kindness and acceptance, and really realize that everyone is on their own journey. Us two here, talking about fucking veganism and how great it is for like an hour, are the prime example of people who have come full circle. And I know all the biggest vegan activists say they were the biggest meat eaters before they became vegan.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's really important for us to all remember, that no one is perfect. Everyone is on their own journey. And the more we come to accept that and celebrate the small wins, like the way more positive our world and our experience of the world will be.
100% with you. That is an absolute, you bestowed the ultimate level of wisdom upon us. So thank you for that blessing fully. Yeah, I was about to just slap my mic on the floor. We're done.
Did I drop my mic?
Do it. How can we connect to you?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So the main social media account that I live on is Instagram. My vegan account is called Our Soul Purpose, with a full stop in between our soul and soul purpose. But if you can't find that, you can just type in DJ Tigerlily, and Our Soul Purpose is in the, like, as a link in my bio. Mm-hmm. Find me on Spotify. I have a podcast that comes out every week. It's a music podcast.
It is jamming. It is a party podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, if you have a party or pre-drinks, or you want to go to the gym or just for a walk, check it out. It's called Team Tiger Radio on any good podcasting app. And I've also got a website called djtigerlily.com, and I do a heap of writing on there talking about DJing and veganism and environmental stuff and awesome brands that I love to support that are doing cool vegan vibey things, which is great. And there was tour dates on there, RIP. And links to everything. So if you're kind of wanting the hub of where to connect with me, the website is probably the best place.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I think there's so much that we really dug into that needed to be said. And I'm glad and grateful that we had the confidence and conviction to let it all out there and not be ashamed to say anything what we actually think, which is totally your vibe. But I totally appreciate your time, Dara.
I've had so much fun, seriously. I always feel really invigorated and like positive and motivated after like doing an epic podcast, because you just get to talk about all the juicy shit that you're passionate about, and you get to be yourself. And I like to think, like, I was listening to a podcast on the weekend, and it was just inspiring me so much. And I was on the end of the podcast being like, oh, I love this. This is so good. I'm going to listen to another one and another one. And I hope to think that we're similar for other people listening out there.
I hope so too. But thank you so much and have an amazing day.
Thank you so much.
Well, hello. Welcome to the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed that conversation and potentially learned something. I definitely did. Thank you to Dara once again for jumping on and having a chat. It was an absolute pleasure. Again, she's such a genuine soul who really wants to make a good impact on the world. If you got something out of this, reach out to Dara or myself and just let us know. It really means a lot to know that we're spreading a good message that is reached positively by different individuals all around the world. I'll leave where you can find Dara on the show notes. Check out her Spotify. She really does create some amazing tunes you can dance to in your bedroom or at the clubs when they reopen. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And if you're listening to this, please leave a review. It helps out so much. But more than anything, the biggest way you can help the show is by sharing this episode with someone else. If you know someone who could benefit from the huge array of topics that we talked about today, just click that share button through Messenger, or, well, you know how sharing works. So do more of that, I guess, to help out. But that is all from me today. Stay safe, stay happy, eat plants. Peace.